size, and color. Those are the elements. The principles are going to be secondary. Elements are more tangible things that you can actually describe or see. Principles are more untangible. Balance. There's several others, and there's secondary principles that we're going to go over, but the main things that you want to remember are the elements. The elements are the things that you really control well. A good line design is going to set up an excellent floral design. You should be able to see in everything that you do where line applies. If you look at the ones that are on here, line is the vital visual path that directs eye movement through a design. You should be able to identify the lines in a design and determine how they were created. If we look at the one on the top left, what would be the main line in this design? The accountant just told me. For the rest of the florists that are not answering. What would be the main line in this design?
As far as the flower.
The orchids.
It's a horizontal line.
Horizontal orchids.
Yeah, you're trying to make it too hard, and that's what happens a lot. Horizontal, vertical, spiral, diagonal. Those are simple lines. And that's the way you want to look at every design. What about the second photograph? The one that has the blue background. What is that? What's the main line of this design?
Vertical.
Is it vertical? Or possibly T?
Triangle.
T.
Or possibly a triangle? If you look at the top point and the side points, that's pretty much an equilateral triangle. Top point goes down to the same points on each side. That could be a T as well because of that vertical axis that cuts into that horizontal base. But you have the same space filled in between there. So this actually fits several different line descriptions. And then what about the one that's on the bottom left? Share it with us. Hogarth curve.
What is it?
Hogarth curve is an S shape. And Hogarth is the designer that came up with that term. I'm not sure exactly when. It's been around since I've been doing design, so 50, 60 years at least it's been in existence. It's an S shape. It can be on its side, it can be at an angle, it can be straight on, it could be horizontal, vertical, but it takes that curvy S shape to any kind of line. Those are your main lines. Everyone,
Is this in our book?
it is in the AIFD Guide to Floral Design. Is everyone familiar with that? If you don't have it, I strongly suggest that you get one. The AIFD Guide to Floral Design will describe all of these line patterns and how they can be used. So if you don't have one of these, this is like our Bible. It describes everything to do with the floral industry, retail floristry, all of the elements and principles in detail. Competitions, weddings. There's even a section in here that will tell you about the style of sleeves and veils, and anything to do with weddings is also listed in here. It's important that if you are going to compete or if you are going to reach for certification, that you get this. When you apply, you're going to get one anyway. But if you want to double check before, and most people that have read this or looked at it, It is not one of those late night reading things. This is something that you read and practice. It is technical, isn't it?
Highly technical.
Highly technical. More so than you've probably ever thought about floral design before. But this is where this is the Bible you're going to want to use for that. So make sure that and I'm not sure how many we have, but Nicole can get you one. I think they're like $55, $65, something like that. $50. I'm sorry? At AIFD they are, but because we buy them in bulk, we get a little better price on them. I'm just not exactly sure. I don't quote prices, so you can't. If she tells you it's a little bit more than that, then
No, it's better to buy it here. It's cheaper.
because we get a discount on buying them
Because I
in
know the
bulk.
Florist Association, Florida sells them at their meetings and their little.
And then
We sell them we don't make any profit off of them. We pass the savings on because it's important.
and your online exam is based on that.
It's based out
Yeah.
of this book, the online AIFD online exam. So, looking at each of the different types of line, you would want to be able to respond to what that line design is. So it's extremely important to study each of these. Look at the photograph. The first thing I do is look for that. Is it a strong line? And most evaluators will look for that first. Because if it's on this plane, then does everything fit within that? If it is a triangular design, then does it fit within that space?
And when you're taking the exam, do they say, we want you to do a triangular design for such and such? Is that what
Maybe. I mean, it depends on the competitions, and with PFDE, it's going to change each year. You're going to get a certain amount of specifics, but it's going to be more like the categories you're going to do. Like you'll be given a duplication design. You have one design that you have to copy.
That was the most difficult for me.
Because you're just given a photograph.
Okay.
You have all the exact same product, because that's what we have to do that design.
Sure.
So we use exactly what you're given. But the reason we do the duplication is because we're in an industry that duplicates. Do you not get photographs constantly that a bride brings in, I want this? Or if you're working with a wire service, you get a number, you have to copy that. Well, we've seen in the industry some of the worst duplication or replication that you could possibly imagine. So it's extremely important to be able to copy photographs properly. That's why we put it as one of the main categories. And we have seen a lot of people not be able to do it. We don't list the items out there because you should be able to look at it and look at your product and see this is what was used. If you think you're going to have trouble because of your eyesight being bad or something like that, then bring a magnifying glass or ask, I've got to wear this monocle to be able to see that, whatever the case may be, because we want to set you up for success, but you should be able to replicate a design very well. The other 4 designs are going to be flowers to wear, wedding work, sympathy, and centerpiece or arrangement. Those are the other 4 categories. Within that, if you're given an arrangement, then you could be told, do an arrangement for an art gallery opening. We may say at some point, do a triangular arrangement for a wedding altar. You can be given something that specific, or it can be very generic. Do a boutonniere. But it will be within those categories always. Any questions on lines? How to create strong line?